The wind tossed my hair across my face as I stood atop the spire, Manhattan stretching below like a sea of glittering lights. 4 p.m. 4 hours to H-hour, 4 hours until all my effort would finally be acknowledged. I stepped behind the heavy glass windbreak, shielding the VIP section, and bent to straighten the peonies at the family head table one last time. White and blush pink, imported from Holland, each stem more expensive than most people spent on an entire bouquet. Thanks to the glass partition, the petals stayed pristine, untouched by the Hudson breeze. Tonight, everything had to be flawless. My hand drifted to my purse, resting on the reassuring weight of 2 thick envelopes inside. My master plan. 3 years of careful saving, precise planning, and deliberate sacrifice. In one envelope, a comprehensive retirement fund for my parents, enough to finance the European river cruise Mom had circled in magazines for years, enough for Dad to finally buy that vintage Corvette he ogled every Sunday online. In the other, a full scholarship for Brittany to study fashion design in Paris. Not just any program, but the Institut Français de la Mode, the same school that had launched the career she'd admired since she was 16. Tonight, as Arthur Sterling announced my partnership before Manhattan's legal elite, I wanted my family at that table. I wanted them to witness the woman their daughter, their sister, had become. I wanted to give them everything they ever dreamed of. Surely, if I did that, they would finally be proud of me. Surely, they would finally love me the way I needed to be loved. My phone buzzed, once, then again. Expecting a message about traffic or parking, my stomach sank instead. Bank alert. American Express supplementary card, ending in $4,782 charged, $3,000 at Pink Flamingo Beach Club. Transaction approved. Before I could process it, the second notification arrived. Mom, we can't make it. Your sister is having a panic attack. She needs quiet meditation space to heal immediately. So sorry, sweetie. You understand. I stared at the screen, rereading both messages, then again. Pink Flamingo Beach Club. I knew the place. A garish, neon-soaked spot on Long Island's outskirts, where college kids drank watered-down cocktails from plastic cups while house music thumped so loudly you couldn't think. Coconut sunscreen and regret lingered in the air. That was supposed to be a quiet meditation space. The contradiction hit me like a slap. My mind, trained to spot inconsistencies through years of legal analysis, immediately cataloged the evidence. Brittany needs quiet. Brittany needs to heal. Brittany is having a panic attack. But the charge posted at 3:47 p.m., 13 minutes ago. Meaning they'd been there for hours, likely since noon. They'd known all along they weren't coming, waited to swipe the card, and sent the text only after the money was gone. There was no emergency. This was deliberate. The sting I felt wasn't about the $3,000. I'd already covered far more than that for Brittany's rent last month alone. It was the contempt, the casual, dismissive disdain that suggested they'd rather spend my money partying somewhere shabby than devote a few hours to celebrate the most significant achievement of my life. They'd used my funds to escape from me. Miss Ross. I turned. Philippe, the restaurant manager, a slight man who had been entirely accommodating throughout the planning, stood respectfully at a distance. His expression remained neutral, yet I could see the pity in his eyes. He had observed me fidget with the table for the past hour, adjusting every detail meticulously. The wind tossed my hair across my face as I stood atop the spire, Manhattan stretching below like a sea of glittering lights. 4 p.m. 4 hours to H-hour, 4 hours until all my effort would finally be acknowledged. I stepped behind the heavy glass windbreak, shielding the VIP section, and bent to straighten the peonies at the family head table one last time. White and blush pink, imported from Holland, each stem more expensive than most people spent on an entire bouquet. Thanks to the glass partition, the petals stayed pristine, untouched by the Hudson breeze. Tonight, everything had to be flawless. My hand drifted to my purse, resting on the reassuring weight of 2 thick envelopes inside. My master plan. 3 years of careful saving, precise planning, and deliberate sacrifice. In one envelope, a comprehensive retirement fund for my parents, enough to finance the European river cruise Mom had circled in magazines for years, enough for Dad to finally buy that vintage Corvette he ogled every Sunday online. In the other, A full scholarship for Brittany to study fashion design in Paris. Not just any program, but the Institut Français de la Mode, the same school that had launched the career she'd admired since she was 16. Tonight, as Arthur Sterling announced my partnership before Manhattan's legal elite, I wanted my family at that table. I wanted them to witness the woman their daughter, their sister, had become. I wanted to give them everything they ever dreamed of. Surely, if I did that, they would finally be proud of me. Surely, they would finally love me the way I needed to be loved. My phone buzzed. Once, then again. Expecting a message about traffic or parking, my stomach sank instead. Bank alert. American Express supplementary card ending in $4,782 charged $3,000 at Pink Flamingo Beach Club. Transaction approved. Before I could process it, the second notification arrived. Mom, we can't make it. Your sister is having a panic attack. She needs quiet meditation space to heal immediately. So sorry, sweetie. You understand. I stared at the screen, rereading both messages, then again. Pink Flamingo Beach Club. I knew the place. A garish, neon-soaked spot on Long Island's outskirts, where college kids drank watered-down cocktails from plastic cups while house music thumped so loudly you couldn't think. Coconut sunscreen and regret lingered in the air. That was supposed to be a quiet meditation space. The contradiction hit me like a slap. My mind, trained to spot inconsistencies through years of legal analysis, immediately cataloged the evidence. Brittany needs quiet. Brittany needs to heal. Brittany is having a panic attack. But the charge posted at 3:47 p.m., 13 minutes ago. Meaning they'd been there for hours, likely since noon. They'd known all along they weren't coming, waited to swipe the card, and sent the text only after the money was gone. There was no emergency. This was deliberate. The sting I felt wasn't about the $3,000. I'd already covered far more than that for Brittany's rent last month alone. It was the contempt, the casual, dismissive disdain that suggested they'd rather spend my money partying somewhere shabby than devote a few hours to celebrate the most significant achievement of my life. They'd used my funds to escape from me. Miss Ross! I turned. Philippe, the restaurant manager, a slight man who had been entirely accommodating throughout the planning, stood respectfully at a distance. His expression remained neutral, yet I could see the pity in his eyes. He had observed me fidget with the table for the past hour, adjusting every detail meticulously. Should we clear the family table? He asked gently. I glanced at the empty seats. The table occupied the prime position, right next to where Arthur Sterling would stand for the toasts. If the managing partner noticed me sitting alone, conclusions would form immediately, professionally successful, but personally solitary. A woman who sacrificed family for career, with no foundation, no roots, no life beyond work. Everything I had achieved could be undermined by an empty table. Tears burned behind my eyes. I forced them back. I would not cry, certainly not here, where the catering staff could notice, or word might reach the firm that Eva Ross had broken down over her family's absence. My fists clenched at my sides, nails pressing into my palms. No, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Keep the setup exactly as it is, the most luxurious arrangement you have. Philippe nodded slowly. But remove the reserve for family sign, I added. He paused, comprehension dawning. Of course, Miss Ross. Right away. As he walked away, I looked down at my phone again. The bank alert glared back at me, undeniable. With trembling fingers, I opened the banking app and reviewed the charges. Pink Flamingo Beach Club, $3,000. VIP Cabana Package, $1,200. 10 High Tide Alcohol Towers, $1,500. Private DJ service fee, $300. This wasn't about stress relief or recovery. This was a celebration of their absence. My sister wasn't panicking. She was enjoying herself, probably surrounded by her unemployed influencer friends, posting every moment on Instagram with captions about Freedom Friday or choosing joy. Something inside me shifted, a cold, hard certainty replacing the hurt. I slipped my phone back into my purse beside the 2 envelopes that now felt unbearably heavy. The Empire State Building stretched before me, golden in the late afternoon light that I in just 4 hours. This rooftop would host New York's most influential legal figures. And I would either be standing here alone or standing with people who truly chose to be here. I pulled out my phone again and scrolled to a message. They did what? Nana Beatrice's voice cut through the speaker like a whip, sharp enough that I had to pull the phone slightly away from my ear. Even at 75, my grandmother's voice carried the authority of someone who'd spent 40 years as a high school principal, commanding classrooms full of teenagers and intimidating incompetent teachers into early retirement. They're at the Pink Flamingo, I repeated, staring at the transaction details on my screen. Mom texted that Brittany was having a panic attack and needed a quiet meditation space. Meditation space? Nana's laugh was harsh. Your mother has always had the taste of a gaudy parrot, but this is a new low even for her. The Pink Flamingo. That's where 20-year-olds go to throw up on each other. Despite everything, a small smile tugged at my lips. You know it. I asked Eva. I taught high school in the city for 4 decades. I know every dive where my students try to use fake IDs. She paused. Are you crying? No. Good. Don't you dare cry over people who choose cheap liquor over their daughter's success. I'm getting dressed right now. I'll be there in an hour. I'm wearing the Street John suit, the gray one that makes me look like I could buy and sell half of Manhattan. You don't have to. Evangeline Ross. Hearing my full name stopped me cold. You listen to me. You need someone of equal standing beside you tonight. Someone who understands that success is celebrated, not ignored. Your mother may have given birth to you, but I'm the one who taught you that excellence matters. I'll be there. She hung up before I could respond. I stood there for a moment, phone in hand, feeling something shift in my chest. The hurt was still sharp and bitter, but beneath it, there was something else. Something almost like relief. I wasn't alone in seeing this clearly. I opened Instagram, telling myself I was being paranoid, catastrophizing even. But I knew my sister, her patterns, her need for attention, her compulsive documentation of every moment. It took less than 30 seconds to find her story. There she was, my 26-year-old sister, holding a neon blue cocktail in each hand, glowing under black lights. Behind her, the Pink Flamingo sprawled in all its tacky glory. Plastic flamingos, tiki torches, and people in swimsuits that should have stayed in the dressing room. The music was deafening even through my phone, a bass-heavy track that made my teeth ache. Brittany screamed at the camera. Escaped the stiff lawyer sister. Best Friday night ever. Thanks for the credit card, sis. She blew a kiss to the camera, then turned to show her friends, at least 8 people, all holding identical neon cocktails, all laughing. The video had been posted just 23 minutes ago, already with 847 views. I watched it twice, then a third time. With each viewing, the hurt ebbed, replaced by something colder, contempt. Pure, crystalline contempt. I glanced at the wine glass in my hand, a 2015 Chateau Neuf du Pape, worth more than everything Brittany was wearing, and then back at the screen showing my sister downing what was probably 90% food. Coloring. We didn't belong to the same world anymore, if we ever had. Class versus trash. I forwarded the story to my executive assistant, Samantha Miller, and then called her. Sam, where are you? In the lobby with Jenkins and the junior associates. We're early. Thought we'd grab drinks at the bar before heading up. Why? What's wrong? You sound. Come up to the VIP level. Now. All of you. The VIP level. That's for partners and... Samantha, bring everyone. That's an order. She hesitated briefly. On our way. I ended the call and walked over to the family head table. Philippe appeared almost immediately, his crisis radar finely tuned. Change of plans. This table is no longer reserved for family. I need place settings for 8. My associates will sit here. His eyes widened slightly. The head table. Yes, the head table. I confirmed. And Mark, make sure the settings are even more impressive than they are now. I want this to feel intentional, not like a backup plan. A slow smile crossed his face. Understood, Miss Ross. We'll make it magnificent. As he hurried away, I opened my banking app. 3 years of financial records. Every wire transfer to my parents, every charge on the supplementary card, every rent payment for Brittany's Williamsburg apartment, the 1-bedroom she filled with thrifted furniture and ring lights for her lifestyle coaching business that had exactly 43 paying clients, mostly our mother's friends. $4,200 per month for rent. That alone totaled over $150,000 in 3 years. Add the $500 minimum on her card, usually more, plus emergency transfers for car repairs, medical bills, and investment opportunities that never turned into actual income. I opened my calculator and started adding. 12 minutes later, the total, $250,000. $250,000 over 3 years. And that didn't include gifts, family dinners I paid for, or plane tickets so they could visit when they claimed they missed me. I had been supporting 3 fully grown adults, and in return, they spent $3,000 of my money on a party celebrating not having to see me. The elevator dinged. Samantha stepped out first, followed by a cluster of junior associates, each visibly confused and slightly out of their element. They were clearly straight from home, cocktail attire, but not at the polished level they would have worn had they known they were being promoted to the VIP level. "Eva, what's going on?" Samantha asked cautiously. I looked at them. Sam, my right hand for 2 years, who had stayed late when I stayed late, who once physically blocked an opposing counsel from ambushing me in the courthouse bathroom. Jenkins, a first year who had pulled 3 all-nighters last month to prep for the Morrison trial. Davis, Brooks, Vance, young, hungry, brilliant, all betting their careers on learning something from working with me. They had all shown up early because they wanted to be. "My family isn't coming," I said simply. "So tonight, you're sitting at the head table with me." Dead silence. Then, in a quiet voice, Samantha asked, "Where are they?" I pulled up Brittany's Instagram story and handed her my phone. Sam watched as her expression shifted from confusion to anger to pure fury within seconds. She returned the phone without a word, though I noticed her jaw tighten. "Well," Jenkins said after a pause, "their loss is our gain. We get the good champagne." It was so typically Jenkins, blunt, honest, and somehow perfectly timed, that I couldn't help laughing. A real laugh, the first since receiving those text messages. "Yes," I agreed. "Yes, you do." By 8:30, the spire had transformed. The sun had set, and Manhattan sparkled below like a jewel box scattered across the night. String lights crisscrossed overhead, and the bar buzzed, serving cocktails with names like The Closing Argument and The Settlement. Jazz played softly, allowing conversation, while the air carried the scent of fine cologne and ambition. I stood near the head table, set perfectly for 8, keeping an eye on the elevator doors. Samantha and the others had spread out to network, following my instructions. In just an hour, they had shifted from anxious juniors to confident professionals, and I felt a surge of pride. Nana Beatrice had arrived 45 minutes earlier in her promised gray wool suit, pearl buttons likely worth more than most people's monthly rent. She surveyed the revised seating arrangement, nodded approvingly, and then charmed every partner's wife in attendance. My grandmother had a rare ability to make people feel both honored and slightly intimidated, but my stomach remained uneasy. Arthur Sterling had not yet arrived. Arthur Sterling, the managing partner. The man who had summoned me to his office 6 weeks ago to discuss my candidacy for the youngest partnership in the firm's history. He had shaken my hand and said, "Eva, you remind me of myself at your age. Brilliant, dedicated, and understanding that success is meaningless without people to share it with." He was old school, 70, married to his college sweetheart for 48 years, 5 successful children. He lectured at Fordham Law about balanced excellence, insisting the best attorneys could close deals and still return home for dinner. My HR file, completed when I joined the firm, listed family as my primary motivation. What would he think seeing me at a head table with no family present? "Eva!" I turned. Arthur Sterling stood behind me, and despite myself, my stomach dropped. He was shorter than in the office, but projected authority like a physical presence. Silver hair, impeccably styled, a navy suit both conservative and costly, and eyes perfected over decades of cross-examining hostile witnesses. "Mr. Sterling," I said, extending my hand. He shook it with the exact right pressure. "Thank you for coming. Wouldn't miss it for the world." He glanced at the head table, expectant, though I had hoped to finally meet the famed Ross family. "In your interviews, you spoke warmly about your parents. Your file notes family as your main motivation. Where are they?" The question hung like a blade. Every possible response raced through my mind. The truth would embarrass me. A lie would be obvious. Deflection seemed evasive. I opened my mouth, unsure of what to say. "Good evening, Mr. Sterling." Nana Beatrice appeared beside me like a force of nature, her voice a mix of steel and silk honed over decades of handling difficult parents at PTA meetings. Sterling looked surprised. "I'm Beatrice Ross," she said, extending her hand with the confidence of someone who had never doubted her place. "My grandmother, former principal of Street Catherine's Preparatory, the woman who had taught me everything about discipline, excellence, and integrity." Sterling shook her hand, his expression shifting to respect. "A pleasure, Miss Ross." "Her parents," Nana said, her tone suggesting this was unfortunate but ultimately irrelevant, were handling a family emergency that required their immediate attention. "However, Mr. Sterling, I need to clarify something important." She stepped slightly forward, instinctively positioning herself between Sterling and me, protective. "Eva's parents may have given her life," Nana continued quietly but with unwavering certainty. "But I am the one who shaped her mindset. I taught her that excellence is non-negotiable. That commitment means showing up even when it's inconvenient. That true success comes from consistency, not convenience. If you're searching for the source of Eva's professional excellence, Mr. Sterling, look no further. You're looking right at it." The silence that followed was complete. Then, unexpectedly, Sterling laughed. Not a polite chuckle, but a genuine, delighted laugh that drew glances from nearby guests. "Miss Beatrice," he said, eyes twinkling, "that is the finest answer I've heard in years. And you're absolutely right. The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. Eva clearly learned from the very best." He turned back to me. "Your grandmother is a force of nature. You're lucky to have her." "I know. I managed," I replied. Sterling clapped my shoulder, a gesture both paternal and professional, before moving to greet other guests. As soon as he was out of earshot, my knees nearly buckled. "Easy," Nana said, gripping my elbow. "Deep breath. You're fine." That was a perfectly executed defensive move. He bought every word. "Because it was true," I said. She looked at me, something soft flickering in her expression. "Yes, it was." My phone buzzed in my clutch. I probably shouldn't have checked it, but my hand moved automatically. An Instagram notification. Brittany had gone live. Against my better judgment, I clicked. The video was shaky, clearly shot on a phone in low light, but everything was visible. My sister, completely drunk, clutching a neon blue cocktail, surrounded by friends. Music blared, and she screamed at the camera, words slightly slurred, "Best Friday night ever." No boring lawyer talk, no stiff atmosphere, just vibes. She spun in a circle, almost falling, caught by a friend who laughed. "Thanks for the credit card, sis. You're the best ATM ever." Comments poured in. "OMG, who's your sister, LOL? Wait, did she pay for this whole thing?" I watched. The neon lights, plastic flamingos, the carefree chaos, and instead of the hurt I felt earlier, I felt nothing but cold, clear contempt. "Eva!" Samantha appeared at my elbow. "It's time for your speech." I pocketed my phone, straightened my shoulders. "Let's do this." The crowd quieted as I stepped to the podium Philippe had set up. Partners, associates, clients, my team, all watching, expressions of support and pride. At a nearby table, I noticed someone I hadn't seen before. A woman in her early 30s, clearly not with the firm, too glamorous to be a client. Phone out, subtly filming, an influencer spotting a content opportunity. I raised my glass. "Thank you all for being here tonight," I began. "Honestly, 4 hours ago, I almost canceled this party." A ripple of surprise passed through the crowd. I received a message that my family needed to deal with an emergency. They needed to heal. I was devastated. I considered calling all of you to reschedule. I pulled out my phone, held it up slightly, but then I saw the credit card receipt. $3,000 charged at a beach club, 10 alcohol towers, a private DJ. I saw the Instagram live stream, my sister celebrating, using my money, celebrating my absence. A pin-drop silence followed. I looked around. Some of you arrived early. Some stayed late at work to free up tonight. You all chose to be here. And I realized something important. I turned to my team at the head table. This VIP position isn't about bloodline, it's about shared vision. The silence held for a beat. Then Samantha started clapping. Jenkins joined, then Davis, then Vance. Suddenly the entire rooftop erupted in applause and cheers. I sat, heart pounding, catching Nana Beatrice's glance, approval or pride, I couldn't tell. The influencer at the next table kept recording. Good. Saturday morning, I woke to 17 missed calls and 43 texts. For a moment, lying in my quiet penthouse, I feared something terrible had happened. Then I saw that every notification was from my family. I hadn't read them yet. I got out of bed, brewed my coffee, and moved through my morning routine with deliberate calm. Shower, skincare, and the gray Armani suit that made me look like I could run a business before breakfast. Only when I was fully prepared did I sit at my kitchen island and check my phone. The first thing I noticed was a tag in a video, 417,000 views. My stomach sank. The creator was Laura from Luxe Lifestyle, the influencer from the next table. She had edited together footage of my speech at the Spire, my words on bloodline versus vision, the sophisticated setting, the team at the head table, alongside Britney's Instagram live stream from the Pink Flamingo. The contrast was stark. I was in black silk, speaking calmly about betrayal, surrounded by elegance and city lights. Britney was drunk and yelling, surrounded by neon and plastic. The caption read, "Class versus trash. Family abandons lawyer sister's career celebration to party on her credit card." This wasn't healing, it was an assault on taste. Class, not trash. Toxic family. Britney deserved better. The comments had already surpassed 8,000. Is this family insane? Who leaves a $15,000 party for that? That sister is objectively trashy. That beach club screams no taste. The lawyer seems calm and classy. Her family is feral. Thanks for the credit card, sis. I'd never speak to her again. Imagine raising a daughter who becomes a lawyer and then ditching her. The grandmother in gray is more of a family than they ever were. I watched the video 3 times. It was expertly edited. Laura had timed every cut perfectly, capturing the exact moment my expression shifted from hurt to contempt. She even added a split screen, showing the Spire's elegance against the Pink Flamingo's tackiness. Comments kept flooding in, hundreds per minute. Then my phone rang. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. Declined. A text appeared. Mom, Eva, call me right now. Another call. This time, Dad. Declined. Dad, this is serious. Your mother is very upset. We need to talk. Mom's text. How could you embarrass us like this? All our friends are texting. Do you know how this makes us look? I stared at it. Not we're sorry. Not we made a mistake. But, how could you embarrass us? Then Britney, Eva, this is so messed up. Why are you airing family business online? You know I have anxiety. Everyone is being so mean in the comments. Take this down now. I screenshot all 3 threads and sent a text to Samantha. Me, good morning. Can you come in an hour early? I need help compiling some documents. Samantha, already here. Saw the video. Also compiled the documents you need. Blue folder on your desk. God, I loved her. My phone rang again. Mom. This time I answered. Mom Eva. Thank God. I didn't post that video. I said calmly, what? The one everyone's commenting on. I didn't post it. I didn't send it to anyone. Silence. Then, well, you need to make her take it down. Why would I do that? Because it makes us look terrible. Your father's friends are texting. Britney's getting hate messages. My book club wants to know why we missed your party. This is humiliating. I sip my coffee. The good stuff. The Brooklyn beans, $40 a pound. Smooth. Rich. Mom, you texted me Britney was having a panic attack. She needed quiet space. She was anxious. You spent $3,000 at the loudest, most obnoxious beach club. 10 alcohol towers, a private DJ. Britney live-streamed herself screaming about escaping her lawyer sister and thanking me for the credit card. Mom, you're being dramatic. These are facts. Bank records don't lie. Video evidence doesn't lie. You spent my money partying instead of attending the biggest night of my professional life. Now you're upset because people online are pointing out it was classless. Her voice went shrill. How dare you call us classless? After everything we've done for you? We raised you, supported you. I repeated slowly, when was the last time you paid for anything? That's not where you helped, Mom. You're supposed to help family. I have helped. For 3 years. And last Friday, you used that help to fund a party celebrating not seeing me. I paused. We really need a family meeting to sort this out. A what? Come to my apartment next Saturday at 7 p.m. You, Dad, and Brittany. I have something I want to give you. A late gift I didn't get to present at the party. The word gift changed everything. I could hear it in the silence, in how Mom's tone shifted from irritation to cautious curiosity. A gift. Yes. Something I've been preparing for a while. It's important we discuss it in person. Another pause. What kind of gift? You'll see on Saturday. Can you make it? Or is there another emergency planned? The jab landed. We'll be there, Mom said, her voice stiff. 7 p.m. perfect. See you then. I hung up before she could respond. Then I opened my text thread with Samantha. Me. Can you print copies of the lease guarantee agreement for Brittany's apartment and all the supplementary credit card statements? I need everything ready by next Saturday afternoon. Samantha, already in the blue folder. Also included, documentation of every wire transfer, every emergency payment, and a detailed breakdown of the $3,000 Pink Flamingo charge. The DJ alone cost $300. Who spends $300 on a beach club DJ? Me. People with terrible taste, and someone else's credit card. Samantha, fair. Also, I ordered a paper shredder for you. Industrial grade. Delivery Friday. Figured you'd need it. I froze at that last message. Samantha had worked with me long enough to know exactly what kind of meeting I was planning. Me, you're getting a raise. Samantha, I'll get a promotion when you make managing partner, but I'll take the raise for now. I smiled despite everything and headed out. The rest of the week passed in a strange, calm blur. By Wednesday, the video was still going viral, 2.3 million views. My parents called 17 more times. Brittany sent increasingly frantic texts, begging me to respond to the comments. I ignored all of them. Instead, I worked. I closed the Morrison deal. I reviewed the blue folder Samantha had prepared, checked every transaction, verified every date. I made notes in the margins, preparing my case like it was going to trial. In a way, it was. Friday evening, a delivery man arrived with a large box, the paper shredder. I set it up in the dining room, placing it carefully beside the table where my family would sit. Then I spent Friday night reviewing everything one last time. The retirement savings plan I'd compiled for my parents, photos of cruise itineraries, brochures for European river tours, a structured investment plan, letting them travel twice a year for the next 20 years, the fashion design scholarship voucher for Brittany, a full ride acceptance to Institut Français de l'Amour, housing included, fully paid. I'd spent 6 months organizing all this, making calls, pulling strings, cashing in favors. They had no idea what awaited them. Saturday arrived, cold and clear. I spent the morning preparing my apartment. No food, this wasn't a social occasion. Just the blue folder, neatly positioned at the head of the table. The 2 thick envelopes beside it, and the paper shredder, plugged in and ready. I called Nana Beatrice. I need you here, I said. As a witness. I wouldn't miss it for the world, she replied. What time should I arrive? 6:30, before they get here. Bring the good wine, you'll need it afterward. She arrived exactly on time, glanced at the setup, and nodded approvingly. You've learned well. I had a good teacher, I said. We sat in silence in the living room. Nana read a dense book about post-war economic policy. I pretended to check emails but mostly watched the clock. At 7:03 p.m., the intercom buzzed. Miss Ross? Your parents and sister are here. Send them up. I went to the door and opened it before they could knock. Mom swept in first. I was struck by how out of place she looked in my apartment, dressed in the Talbot suit she wore to church, the one she thought looked sophisticated, but in reality seemed like she was overcompensating. Dad followed behind, uncomfortable in his slacks and button-down shirt. Brittany came last, phone in hand, looking disinterested. Eva, sweetie, it's so cold in here, Mom said, glancing around my minimalist living room, her disapproval barely hidden. You need more color. Some throw pillows. It feels like a hotel. Hello to you too, Mom. I closed the door behind them. Please, come into the dining room. They filed in and froze when they saw Nana Beatrice sitting in the armchair at the head of the table, a glass of red wine in hand, observing them like a judge in a courtroom. Mother, my mom said, instantly defensive. I didn't know you'd be here. Deborah, Nana replied calmly. Sit down. All of you. There was a tone in her voice that even made Dad comply without argument. They took their seats, eyes immediately drawn to the blue folder and 2 envelopes on the table. What's this about? Brittany said, still scrolling on her phone. I have plans later. Can we make this quick? I remained standing. Put the phone away, Brittany. Excuse me. Your sister said put the phone away, Nana said quietly. Or you can leave now. Brittany looked to our parents for backup, but Mom was already staring at the envelopes with clear curiosity. Brittany huffed and placed her phone face down on the table. Thank you, I said. Now, I continued, I asked you here because we need to address what happened last Friday. Mom immediately launched into her prepared speech. Eva, we've been so stressed about this viral video situation. You have to understand how humiliating this has been for us. Your father's colleagues, my friends, everyone has been asking questions. We're the victims here. That awful woman shouldn't have posted it. Deborah, Nana interrupted sharply. Shut up. Mom's mouth fell open. You ditched your daughter's partnership celebration, a $15,000 event, to drink watered-down cocktails at a beach club that smells like sunscreen and bad decisions. I'm not ashamed of you for being cruel. I'm ashamed because you're stupid. Mother, how dare? I dare because it's true. You had a daughter who achieved something remarkable, and instead of celebrating her, you spent her money celebrating avoiding her. That's not complicated. That's not a misunderstanding. That's just pathetic. The room fell completely silent. I picked up the 2 envelopes. Before we continue, I want to show you something. Brittany's eyes lit up as she recognized the envelopes, thick and luxurious looking. I knew exactly where her thoughts were heading. Are those for us? She asked. Yes, I said, holding them up. Inside this one is an all-inclusive retirement savings plan for Mom and Dad, enough for 2 international trips every year for the next 20 years. European river cruises, South Pacific tours, everything you've ever said you wanted to do. Mom's hand twitched toward the envelope. And this one, I continued, holding up the second, is a full-ride scholarship voucher for Brittany to attend Institut Français de la Mode in Paris. Full tuition, housing, and a stipend included. One of the most prestigious fashion programs in the world. Brittany gasped. Are you serious? Ava, oh my God, I pulled both envelopes back before anyone could reach for them. Before I hand these over, I need to explain something. I placed them on the table, right in front of the paper shredder. I prepared these gifts 3 months ago, after 6 months of calls, pulling strings and cashing favors. I intended to give them to you at the party, in front of everyone, so you could see what your daughter, your sister, had accomplished. So you could witness that I had succeeded enough to deliver your dreams. My voice was calm, steady, stripped of emotion. But you chose the pink flamingo. You chose a $3,000 bill at a tacky beach club over a once-in-a-lifetime celebration. You waited until the charge went through before texting me, so I couldn't stop it. You used my money to throw a party celebrating your absence. Ava, we tried explaining. Dad started. You explained nothing. You lied. Brittany wasn't having a panic attack. She was drunk. She live-streamed herself thanking me for the credit card, calling me an ATM, celebrating freedom from the stiff lawyer sister. I looked at Brittany. You tagged me in that video. You wanted me to see it. I was joking. You weren't. I picked up the first envelope, the retirement savings book. It represents 30 years of my parents traveling the world, first-class flights, 5-star hotels, everything you've ever wanted. Mom stared at it as if it were sacred. Ava, sweetheart, you chose a $3,000 party over a lifetime of experiences. I opened the flap and pulled out the glossy booklet filled with cruise itineraries and bank certificates. Ava, wait, Dad said, half standing. I fed the booklet into the shredder. The machine roared to life, a harsh grinding sound that filled the room. I watched my parents' faces as 30 years of travel plans turned into confetti. Mom gasped as if physically struck. What are you doing? Brittany shrieked. I picked up the second envelope, the scholarship voucher. Brittany's dream school, her ticket to Paris, the life she claimed to want. I slid the official acceptance letter and scholarship confirmation out of the envelope. This represents 4 years in Paris, a degree that could build a career instead of a hobby, a chance to be more than an Instagram influencer with 43 followers. Ava, please, Brittany sobbed. I'm sorry, I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant every word. You celebrated using me, called me an ATM. I fed the acceptance letter into the shredder. Brittany screamed, not just shouted, actually screamed, as if I had physically hurt her. Mom froze, staring at the machine, unable to process it. Dad had turned pale. The shredding stopped. Both envelopes, both dreams, reduced to strips of paper in the clear bin. That's it, Mom whispered. You're destroying our futures over one mistake. One mistake. I looked at her. Mom, how much money have I given you in the past 3 years? She blinked. I don't know, we never asked you to. I opened the blue folder. $250,000. Mom's eyes widened. That's impossible. It's entirely possible, I said, pulling out the first document. Rent for Brittany, credit card bills, emergency wire transfers, car repairs costing $5,000, medical bills insurance should have covered, failed investment opportunities. I held up the lease document. This is Brittany's lease. I'm the guarantor. I'm legally responsible when she can't pay rent, which is every month, because she doesn't work. I'm building my brand, Brittany interrupted. You have 43 paying clients, I said. I checked your business account. You made $2,100 last year. I paid $50,400 in rent for you. I set the document down and picked up the next. This is the supplementary credit card statement. In 3 years, you've charged $47,000. Mom, you said this was for emergencies only. Those were emergencies, Mom replied. You don't understand what it's like. The $800 charge at Nordstrom for a handbag, was that an emergency? Silence. The $1,200 spa weekend in the Poconos, an emergency too? More silence. The $3,000 party at the Pink Flamingo, also urgent? Mom's face flushed. You've always had more than us. You've always been able to afford things. Because I worked for it, I said, my comm just cracking. I worked 80-hour weeks. I sacrificed every weekend. I built a career from nothing while you spent my money and resented me for having it. We never resented you, Dad said weakly. Then why weren't you there? The words came out raw. Why wasn't celebrating my success worth 3 hours of your time? No one answered. I pulled out the next set of documents. This is the notice canceling all supplementary credit cards, effective immediately. The $3,000 from Pink Flamingo is the last charge I'll ever pay. Consider it severance. I set that down and picked up the final document. And this is the notice withdrawing me as guarantor on Brittany's lease. You have 30 days to find a new guarantor or move out. You can't do this, Brittany cried. That's not my problem anymore, I said. Eva, please, Mom said, and for the first time, she sounded genuinely scared. We're family. You can't just abandon us. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who gave birth to me but never truly saw me. Who took my money but never my advice. Who chose a beach club over her daughter's achievement. You abandoned me first, I said quietly. Last Friday, you made clear what you value. It's not my success. It's not my happiness. It's my bank account. I'm done being an ATM. I pointed to the door. Please leave. Eva, Dad tried one more time. Leave. Now. Nana Beatrice stood, silent, her presence filling the room. The message was clear. This wasn't a debate. Mom gathered her purse with trembling hands. Brittany sobbed. Mascara streaked across her face. Dad seemed at a loss for words. They left in silence. At the door, Mom turned one last time. You'll regret this. Family is forever. No, I said. Family is who shows up. You didn't. I closed the door and locked it. The apartment was quiet except for distant traffic and Brittany's muffled cries. Then Nana Beatrice came over and hugged me. I hadn't realized I was shaking until she held me. You did the right thing, she murmured. I'm so proud of you. I nodded, unable to trust my voice. After a moment, she pulled back. Now, I'm pouring a very large glass of wine. We're going to sit in your minimalist apartment and you're going to tell me how it feels to be free. 1 month later, I woke to silence, not the suffocating silence of loneliness, but the peaceful quiet of a space that belonged entirely to me. No frantic texts demanding money. No guilt trips about abandoning the family. Just the hum of the city and the aroma of fresh coffee. I checked my phone. No bank alerts, no overdraft warnings from Brittany. For the first time in 3 years, my bank balance was growing. I wasn't supporting 3 adults anymore. I was building a future. A notification popped up from Nana Beatrice. You have to see this. It was a link to a local newsletter. The headline, Local Family Seeks Community Support After Daughter's Cruel Abandonment. I clicked. It was absurd. Mom claimed I cut them off over a minor scheduling conflict. Brittany said I valued money over blood. At the bottom, a GoFundMe requested $50,000 to replace stolen gifts. Raised so far, $340. Scrolling through the comments, strangers weren't buying it. Wait, the scheduling conflict was them skipping my promotion gala to go to a beach club? I saw the TikTok. Team Eva all the way. Imagine mishandling it this badly, and then asking strangers for money. The audacity. I closed my laptop, a dark, satisfied smile playing on my lips. They had attempted to shame me publicly, only to find themselves shamed by the very audience they sought to influence. They were no longer my concern. Now, they were a cautionary tale circulating online. My afternoon stretched through back-to-back meetings, culminating in an interview for a new intern. Sarah Brooks, a sharp 23-year-old from Columbia Law, reminded me of my younger self, ambitious, driven, but without the connections that opened doors. At the end of the interview, I didn't just offer her the position. I reached for a first-edition contract law book from my shelf, my own lucky charm. Take this, I told her. Someone once taught me to invest in people who share your vision, not just your bloodline. You have the vision, Sarah. Use it wisely. She held the book as though it were priceless. I won't let you down, Miss Ross, she said. I know you won't, I replied. I left the office promptly at 6. Outside, the air was crisp, carrying the scent of roasted chestnuts and untapped possibility. I made my way to the Italian restaurant where Nana Beatrice was waiting, a bottle of fine red wine already open on the table. She looked up as I approached, her eyes scanning my face, not for signs of stress, but for peace. You look different, she observed as I sat down. I feel different, I said, accepting the glass she offered. Lighter. That's the weight of dead expectations falling away, she remarked, clinking her glass against mine. To Eva Ross, I said, who finally stopped trying to buy love and started building a legacy. To family, she corrected softly, the real kind. We drank, and the wine tasted like victory. Outside, the lights of Manhattan twinkled, millions of lives unfolding in the darkness. Somewhere out there, my parents and Brittany were facing the consequences of their choices. Here, sitting across from the only person who had never asked me for a dime, I was living with mine. The check arrived, but Nana snatched it before I could reach for my purse. My treat, she said firmly. You've paid enough. We walked out into the cool night air, arm in arm. I didn't look back. The future was mine entirely, and I was ready to embrace it.